Yeah, I think that one of the when I first watched that Kanye interview, it was almost 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half
about
ago.
About a year. Yeah.
That was like where I was like, oh, this guy's got it. Like this because you got a great Ye interview.
It was luck.
And shout out to Wack helped make that happen.
Wack 100. That's Wack 100. He's the secret sauce behind that relationship. Yeah,
I love Wack. Wack's a great guy, man.
He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
I've been friends with Wack for over 10 years, and I always say he's one of the smartest dudes in the game. I know sometimes Wack gets on Clubhouse, and Wack is going to whack.
But Wack is very strategic.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And people don't give him the credit. And the other thing I love, and he told this story recently, and I want to say that, like, when I opened my studio, Hollywood Unlocked Studios, the idea at first was very focused on a space for creators to create.
Like a peer space type situation.
Yeah, like that. And then the day it opened, I was sitting in my kitchen with Blue, who was my former co-host on the podcast. I was like, in Damage, I was like, how are we going to, I think Damage was there. I know Blue was there. Because I was like, how are we going to market it? How am I going to market this? I don't know how to really do it. Like, I built the space. Now, how do we market it? Phone rings, it's Wack. Literally. Yo, nephew, is your studio open? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I got somebody that want to rent it. I said, okay, let me talk to him. So he puts Kanye on the phone.
Wow.
I'm like, hello? He's like, yo, this is Ye. Nice to meet you. And I'm like sitting there, I put him on speakerphone, and we're like gagging, like, what the fuck? And he's like, I want to use my cousin podcast. When can you come to dinner? When can you pull up? I said, when you want me? An hour. I said, okay. I went to Craig's. Wack, this is the thing that, again, doesn't really happen because people who plug people in want to be the gatekeeper of that relationship and eat off of that too.
Forever.
Wack came in, he sat me down next to Kanye, and he sat all the way across the room, completely let me and Ye sit there and vibe for about 4 hours and really talk and listen to music. And he let me hear all the different stuff he had coming out for Donda 2. And then we started vibing, and I started just telling him who I was and what I was about. We clicked. And then the next day, he called and said, what you doing now? So, I got Floyd Mayweather and Evan Ross at my studio. We chilling, and they look at the space. He was like, you want to have a dinner tonight? I got Madonna. Ask Floyd if he want to come. And then we had this epic-ass dinner, and then he got in a fight with the
I think I saw the pictures from that night. It was like you and Madonna was there. Yeah, was AB. Antonio Brown there?
Yeah, he was there. Yeah. And then he got in a fight with the paparazzi that night. Called me the next day and said, Wack said, like, you could help me with this, that you have a platform that I apologize, I wasn't aware. And talking about Hollywood Unlocked. He said, okay, let me know if I can come by. I said, okay, cool, come by. We'll talk about it whenever. So I sent her the address, and I went into a meeting. And I'm in a meeting with this woman and her artist. And we're sitting there chilling, and then the ding dong at the doorbell, Johnny, my video director, went open the door, and it was Kanye.
It's fucking crazy.
He was like, let's do it now.
The interview.
Now.
Wow.
No prep, we did it.
It's crazy, too, because then obviously you're kind of put in charge of his, what was your title?
I was head of media for Kanye.
Right, for a very short stint.
7 months.
7 months. Great.
But I left on my own.
Amazing thing to throw on the resume.
Yeah. I didn't think it would be
I want to kind of, because you could probably be like the best PR guy in the game if you wanted to be.
Yeah.
A situation like Ye, if you're his PR person, what would I do? How do you bring him back? How do you uncancel the situation? Let's say he's level-headed, he got through whatever this weird like Hitler, White Lives Matter shit was going. Like, what's the advice you give if he calls you tomorrow and says, Well,
I called him to give him the advice. I'm gonna tell you what I was gonna give him right now, and I haven't told nobody this. And I didn't give it to him because of his response to me when I called. I'm a very genuine, authentic person. I don't play games. I'm not gonna like sell nobody on nothing. Even if he wasn't in his right mind, if he at least wanted to stop the bleeding, to be able to focus on finding his right mind, to then get back to the center, what I would have done. And let's be clear, that interview I did with him actually brought him closer back to the center because the culture forgave him. We followed up with a media brunch with all the top black storytellers from all walks of media. I mean, we did a deal with Facebook. He was centered. He chose to be uncentered again. What I called him to tell him that I didn't get to tell him directly because he wanted me to put it in a text. I don't text.
Because he would have probably screenshotted it and then posted it and been like...
Which is why I chose not to text.
Right.
What he could have done, because let's be very clear, what Ye was saying, the topic that he was talking about was a real topic. The power construct of the industry, the power, the lack of resources, the manipulation.
There's a lot of gems in that Drink Champs interview that get overlooked because of the other shit he said.
The delivery was just completely fucking wrong.
For sure.
Jewish people and black people, Mexicans, all different groups have had very challenging experiences in their communities. The Holocaust, slavery. Why do we need to politic pain? Like everybody's been through their shit.
Right.
And I've have relationships with Jewish people who've brought me in and I felt a sense of community where they were all equally interested in my success and pulling together resources, unlike how sometimes my community does. So what he was saying in terms of, different power constructs and, opportunities and who owns what is true. How they did that, I would say we have, as a black community, have to own some of that because we choose to politic positions. Oh, I'm over here running this, so I'm not gonna let these niggas in. I'm gonna let these niggas in, or I'm gonna grandfather my homies in, but not put this nigga on who's on. Like, there's so many people who could have done more for me when they saw me coming because they saw the potential, but they didn't fuck with me. Maybe I'm gay, I'm this, I'm loud, I'm whatever. Fuck them all now. I got more money than them. So when I look at with Ye, I said what he was doing, I agreed with the topic that he was addressing, but I didn't agree with the delivery. What I would have told him from Dubai he could have did was, during the time where he was burning out with All Lives Matter, Candace Owens, all that.
And doing every random fucking interview.
First thing I would have said is, you need to move very strategic. I would have backed up from it all. I would have hired a production company. I would have turned this whole experience into a documentary. I would have pulled in Kyrie Irving. I would have examined America and race relations in the world based on his activity. I would have made it look like I did
kind
it
of
all
on purpose.
On purpose. I would have
Here's this piece of art.
I would have flipped it all up very artistically on its head. I would have interviewed people from the Jewish community. I would have pulled everybody in. Candace Owens, the founder of Black Lives Matter. I would have put everybody into this very inclusive work of art who could have made us all take a step back to examine how he was destroyed when he said what he said, when we have people who are white climbing up the Capitol trying to kill the vice president and overturn an election who are still not in prison. There's a real conversation to be had. And
they still have their bank accounts.
And they still have their bank accounts. Since when does a bank say, come get your money out because the news is saying it? Well, Wells Fargo probably told them that because they stole Wendy Williams' money. I don't know if it was Wells Fargo or Chase, but I think it was Chase. They've all done fuck shit. Wells Fargo taking all of Wendy Williams' money because they thought she was incompetent. There was no court document or nothing that said that. When do you say, pull out all of your money? You do that because you want to be in the news, because you want people to go and look at your products and services. They used him, and he allowed himself to be used. What I'm really big on is controlling your narrative. How do you create a conversation that may make the whole world blow up, but when you shake it out, it shapes into this work of art that actually makes people go back and start having critical thinking. He wasn't able to really do that because I think he was too emotionally involved in it, and he had some really good people around him that could have helped him. And then unfortunately, he wanted me to text him that. But I said, I'm not going to text you, no problem, because I told him, I said, I don't want you to pay me for this idea. I don't want to be involved with this idea. I don't want any credit for this idea. I don't want any public association with this idea. That's what I was going to tell him. I just want you to be able to stop the noise of what you've created now with this whole conversation around a topic that is a real topic we could have elevated through our relationship, but that you chose to go nuclear on because you had a point to prove. And now you're being sued by everybody, and you're going to lose everything, and you're going to feel like you were right. Because ultimately, if he runs for president now, and Trump runs for president, and he loses, he can say the only reason Trump won is because white lives matter. He can say that. But by this point, you've turned the whole world off from listening to that. You're just not
I feel like he kind of like unintentionally whored himself out to the alt-right content space to where and I don't think it was his intent, you know what I mean? But I think that when you go on certain podcasts and you talk to certain people, it's like you're kind of just giving them all the ammunition that they need to kind of continue to push hate on their side, while you're kind of oblivious to that because you think that you're it's just he's my favorite artist ever. So it's it was just disappointing.
I said he definitely is gaslighting the culture, and he's serving up white supremacy, and it's unfortunate because I will say this, as much as I've been critical, I'm also very much a fan. I think he's one of the most brilliant artists in the world. He's definitely a culture disruptor, culture shifter, culture leader, icon, all that. He's all of that. But all of that, you can still be flawed. I think the one flaw that Ye has, and I say this with love, is that the Putin and the Hitler references is more about kind of being that uncheckable dictator that controls the world as he wants to see it and not be questioned. But that's just not the reality of where we live in, you know?
I think you gotta like read the room. And I think the Hitler shit that he was saying was like coming from a place of like, Jesus loves everybody. Jesus forgives everybody. I love Hitler. I love Jews. But I just felt like, yeah, sometimes you gotta read the room, man. You know, it's
Jesus may forgive everybody, but that don't mean you ain't going to hell.
that don't mean you ain't gonna go to hell and burn to death. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was just unfortunate to see. Like you said, it's like we've never. This is a one-of-one situation. Probably the most culturally important person that hip hop has probably ever had. He's moved fashion, musically. He's that guy, and it just kind of like 4 months, and it's just evaporated. It's kind of crazy.
Crazy thing is, I think he could come back.
I think he could too.
You know, I think he could come back, but like he has. You know, I will say it was an honor to be able to be there. My whole goal was not to be like known for being his head of me and all that. That's great that people know that. He put me in a room with the president of Gap, with the presidents of Adidas, with the leaders of these organizations who, at the time, were spending no money in marketing, no money in our communities to seed programs. And so as head of media, I found my way into conversations with people to say, if he makes you $3 billion, can you not put 5% towards programs in our community? And they were on board with this. They were like, they were hungry for ideas. He just needed a green light. He never did. So the frustrating part was the idea of what we wanted to do was we had $1 billion commitment outside of the U.S. to raise, to get this money to buy all these media conglomerates, to be able to put them under one house that I would sit on and help to really shape narrative for the culture. And on top of that, be able to get these Fortune 500 brands to be able to spend hundreds of millions of dollars pouring back into our community. That's the privilege that I thought I had there. And then it became a circus. And when I realized, like, I'm a very strategic person, once I saw, like, this is not what it is, I don't want to spend the time I have on earth, like, playing around. Like, I want to leave an imprint, a legacy.
Do you think he had a lot of yes people around him? And you're obviously not a yes man. So, like, being in that short amount of time, would you say that his inner circle was pretty just kind of like...
No, I won't say that. I'll say that he had a lot of really good people who did the work that needed to be done. And when it was time to say no, would say no, but it was typically through me, which made me the bad guy.
Right.
And when they said no, they said it in ways that would get him to understand there's a need to pause, and then I would come in with the no.
Right.
Why? And I think strategically we all worked well together. Like everybody had their lane. I wasn't management. I was, but I became how do we put out this fire?
Yeah.
What's your advice on how we do this? And he never wanted to do it. So, it wasn't that I didn't have all the answers or that he didn't need all the answers. I just think that he wanted to do things his way. And now he can look at his world and see that probably didn't work out in his favor. But I won't say it's because everybody around him was bad. He had really good people. Yeah. I mean, he had the best divorce attorney. The only one that I think that could have beat Kim Kardashian, or at least leveled it out for him. He had the best other attorneys, the Gap person. I mean, everybody around him they were good people. But, he chose what he chose, and here we are.
Yeah.